Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we are going to be comparing the prices of gluten-free foods from New Zealand and the UK. The reason I'm doing this is that I currently live in London in the UK, but I'm from New Zealand, so I've got sort of a general idea of the prices, and I thought it would be interesting just to compare them one-on-one. And you might think you know where the price is going to be going, but I was actually surprised by quite a few, but we'll get to them in a tick. So before I start, I just wanted to say that I'm taking prices that are the full price items. We're not doing sale items. I'm taking the full price item of each thing, and I'm using the cheaper supermarkets price. So that means here in the UK I'm using the Asda prices because Asda famously has very cheap gluten-free products, and in New Zealand I'm taking prices from Pack and Save, which is also the cheaper supermarket chain in New Zealand. And where I couldn't find those ones, I've taken prices from Tesco's and Countdown, but I will mention where I found the prices when I'm going through the list of things. Oh, something I also have to say is I will be using the currency of where the product is. So that means when I'm talking about something from the UK, I'm going to be talking about it in pounds. And when I'm talking about something from New Zealand, I'm going to be talking about it in dollars. At the moment, the currency is roughly £1 to 2 New Zealand dollars. So whatever the pound price it is, double that, and that's sort of the New Zealand equivalent. So yeah, so just keep that in mind. So I have got 10 gluten-free items. I've written them down in my notepad. I spent this weekend doing some very thorough research, and for some items I've not only got like the cheapest price I could find, but I've also got the most expensive. So for bread, the first one we're going to talk about today, I found one of the most expensive breads you can buy as well as the cheapest. So is there anything else I need to say? Yeah, you might think you know how this is going to turn out, but let me tell you, there's some surprises in here. So let's start off with bread. The cheapest loaf of bread I could find in the UK was £1.50, and that was from Asda. That's the Asda white free from loaf. So that's super cheap. You can also buy it on special when it's cheaper, or when it's reduced it can get to like 90, 80p, but that is the cheapest one I could find online. I have tried it and I don't like it, but that's the cheapest you can buy. In New Zealand, the cheapest loaf I could find was the Pam's Everyday Gluten-Free Loaf at $6.49. So that is pretty much double the cost of the UK version. And to be fair, I'm not surprised with things like bread. The most expensive bread I could find in the UK was £3.45 for the Warburton's Tiger Bloomer Loaf, gluten-free of course. And I have had this one and I do enjoy it, but it's so expensive. However, it's not quite as expensive as the New Zealand most expensive bread I could find. This is the one I could find, but let me know if you've seen more expensive. So I found the Venerdi, I couldn't read my own writing there. The Venerdi Paleo Loaf in New Zealand is a whopping 12 New Zealand dollars, which is roughly equivalent to £6 for a loaf of bread, and it wasn't that big. I haven't tried this one, but if you have, please let me know if it's worth it. I kind of doubt that anything would be worth it for £12, but let me know if you've tried it. So a lot of people would probably say that we've got better and more options over here in the UK. However, for bread, I've actually never found anything that I like more than that Vogel's gluten-free loaf, which I think is $10 or $11. Oh my gosh. This is what makes me worried about eventually moving back to New Zealand. Oh my goodness me, I'm gonna be so poor. And I really feel for my New Zealand celiacs and gluten-freeers out there. I really feel for you guys. I barely buy gluten-free bread over here. I only really buy the cheaper loaves to make breadcrumbs out of. But other than that, if I am using bread, I'll usually go for a roll or like a bagel, because there's some really good gluten-free bagels over here. Our next item, pasta. Gluten-free pasta is so cheap here. We are so lucky. So the cheapest pasta I could find was 45p, and that was Asda's Fusilli pasta. It's a 500 gram bag, and I have had that, and I just, yeah, it's fine. It's pasta. Does what it needs to do. The cheapest pasta I could find in New Zealand was the Buon Appetito Penne at $2.93. So that's about 3 times the price of the UK version, if I'm doing some quick maths. The most expensive pasta I could find in the supermarket chains here in the UK, I know you can find like more like expensive pastas in sort of like small organic shops I've seen, yeah, very expensive ones, or like in Planet Organic. But the most expensive supermarket chain pasta I could find was at Waitrose. It was the Made gluten-free penne rigate, and that was £3.75. However, the most expensive I found in New Zealand was the Ceres Organic penne, and Ceres Organic is actually a brand we get over here, and that in New Zealand costs $5.89. So actually a cheaper, more expensive version in New Zealand. Next up, we've got flour. And I'm just going with one type from each country, what I think is probably the best quality flour that you can buy in each country. So the UK, and this is the flour that I always buy, is the Dove's Free From flour. The Dove's Free From flour. The Dove's Free From flour, and that is £1.70 for a kilogram, I believe. And in New Zealand, I'm looking at the Edmonds gluten-free flour, and that's a whopping $5.75 at Pack and Save. That's a lot. Oh my goodness. Considering how much baking I do, I'd say all of my money would go towards food at this point if I was living in New Zealand at the moment. $5.75 for flour is so much. If you've ever baked one of my recipes in New Zealand, like, wow, I'm so honoured that you would choose to use your flour on me. Next up, we are looking at a breakfast item, and I've gone with the very basic cornflakes. In the UK, you can get Nestle's Go-Free cornflakes for £2.20, and in New Zealand, I found the Kellogg's gluten-free cornflakes at $5. I believe that was also at Pack and Save as well. So not too much of a difference there. I forgot to mention that food is generally more expensive on the whole in New Zealand for almost every product, and I think that's got something to do with a lot of imported goods. New Zealand's very far away, there's less people, etc, etc. Food just is a little bit more expensive. There was something not too long ago that I saw, was it cucumbers or something? The price of cucumbers was ridiculous. Cucumbers here year round are 45p or cheaper. But in New Zealand, I think I saw a cucumber get up to $5, $6 or something. Ridiculous considering how many cucumbers I eat. Sounds a bit weird. Next up, I've got a bit of an interesting one. The Betty Crocker gluten-free Devil's Food cake mix. I realise they're sold both in New Zealand and the UK. They have got slightly different packaging, but I'm pretty sure that they're the same product. In the UK, you can find it in Sainsbury's. I couldn't actually find it in Asda or Tesco's. You can find it in Sainsbury's for £2.60. But in New Zealand, you can find it for $3.99. So if we do a quick conversion rate in your head, it actually works out cheaper in New Zealand to get the Betty Crocker's Devil Food cake. That was the Pack and Save price. I actually saw the same one in Countdown for a lot more money. So there you go, there's one. Now let's move on to wraps. I'm going to start with New Zealand on this one because I saw last year a lot of hoo-ha on the Coeliac Disease New Zealand and the Gluten-free New Zealand Facebook pages about these Rebel Bakehouse wraps being pretty much life changers for everyone. People using them for tortillas, for pizza bases, just for wraps. It seemed like they were really well loved. And I found them priced at Pack and Save at $5.19, but I do believe they are a lot expensive at other supermarkets. However, wraps here, weirdly quite expensive and not very good. So one of the cheaper ones I could find were the Genius gluten-free wraps, and they were £2.50. But they're not delicious. They don't make my heart happy. I haven't actually found like a soft wrap here that I've liked. All of them have this sort of plasticky feel to them. I generally just make my own with like yogurt. I'd like to try the Rebel Bakehouse ones and see what I think about them, because I've never heard of products praises being sung so much than the Rebel Bakehouse wraps. Now let's move on to something interesting. Old El Paso gluten-free corn wraps. So the Old El Paso corn tortilla wraps here in the UK are £2.99, but in New Zealand they're only £3.99. So they are actually more expensive here in the UK, which was a huge surprise to me. Like, why? Anyway, who knows? I'm not too mad at them though, because I've just bought out the small 10 pack of wraps at my local Sainsbury's, and I'm loving them. Our next item of food is the Humble chocolate chip cookie, because I thought this was a very important part of the gluten-free diet. So once again, I've gone cheapest and most expensive because there is a huge range of chocolate chip cookies. And the cheapest you can get here is from Asda, and that's just £1.30 for their chocolate chip cookies. The cheapest I found you can get in New Zealand is the Pam's chocolate chip cookies for $3.49. And I actually quite like those ones. I had them recently when I was back in New Zealand on holiday. I say recently, like a year and a half ago. But I quite enjoyed them. The most expensive UK chocolate chip cookies that I found were from Waitrose, and they were £2.25. You can obviously, once again, get more expensive ones at like boutique places, but this is what I could find online, and these are freaking delicious if I'm going to be quite honest. Very chocolatey. And the most expensive I could find in the supermarkets in New Zealand was from Pack and Save, the Kia cookies, a great brand, and they are $5.49. Our second to last item, I've gone with gluten-free Weet-bix, or Weet-bix here I think that they're called. Because Weet-bix is a brand, they have slightly different names. So here in the UK they are called Nutri-Bix, and you can get them for £3.70. And not really surprisingly, they are cheaper in New Zealand. You can get the Sanitarium gluten-free Weet-bix at $5.99. So slightly cheaper in New Zealand. But I feel like Weet-bix is a huge part of the culture, so it'd be more shocking if they weren't. And our last item today, obviously quintessential to the gluten-free diet, chicken nuggets. I've gone with gluten-free chicken nuggets for our last item today, and the cheapest I found were from Asda again. The gluten-free chicken nuggets were £3.15, and that was for 360 grams worth of chicken nuggets. And at Pack and Save in New Zealand, the Ingham's chicken nuggets were only $8.99, but it was 700 grams, so almost double the weight as the Asda ones, which turns out to be cheaper per gram. But for one that was more of a similar weight was the Waitoa gluten-free chicken nuggets, and they were $10.50. And that was for 450 grams. So, but yeah, if you find those Ingham's one, way cheaper in New Zealand to get gluten-free chicken nuggets. Right, so that's the end of my video today. To draw a conclusion on a very small sample of products, I would say that it is, on the whole, still more expensive to be gluten-free in New Zealand. Obviously, there's also a lot of factors to take in. If I was to take the prices from Countdown on New World, it would be far more expensive. So if you are in New Zealand, I would recommend shopping your gluten-free products at Pack and Save, but I'm sure you already know that. We're definitely lucky over here, and I do think there is a wider range of gluten-free products. Maybe that's a video I can do next to show you how many options of something there are in New Zealand versus in the UK. Something that we don't have in the UK though, that New Zealand has, and which makes it, at the end of the day, far superior: muffin splits. Those cheesy muffin splits. I miss them. I really miss them. Anyway, I hope you found this video slightly interesting. I find this stuff really interesting, so let me know if you'd like to see more products, and let me know what products you'd like me to see. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, and if you're new here, go ahead and hit subscribe. I make videos about being gluten-free. Hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are, and I will see you in the next video. See you later.